Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
One of the wonkiest builds that you can play with in Elden Ring is a sorceries and incantations hybrid, and it just so happens that I was in a very wonky mood not too long ago, and this is how the idea for this video came into existence. So, can I beat Elden Ring as Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender? The rules are gonna be simple enough. I need to defeat all the shard bearers, I can only use the 4 elements, air, water, earth, and fire for damage, I can only have a maximum of 30 vigor, and I cannot use any summons. With the quick intro out of the way,
Let's do it!
you know what? Aang doesn't look half bad, to be honest. After spending quite a solid amount of time in the character customizations menu, I've begun the run by doing my usual chores, which are acquiring Torrent, the Physic Flask, a whole lot of runes, Dectus Medallion, and my first source of damage, which is an airbending technique called Stormblade. I then purchased the dagger from the Twin Maiden Husks, made quick work of the Red Wolf of Radagon to get myself the Glintstone Wetblade, Azur's Glintstone Staff, and Radagon's Icon. Both of these tools would allow me to cast spells quicker. Moving on from that, I purchased some of the upgrade materials I needed from EG, got a few runes from the Knight's Cavalry which I invested into the 30 vigor to just get it out of the way for the rest of the run. Next up, I got the Meteorite Staff, which is by far the best early game staff for mages, and went into Shiofor River to get the only 2 waterbending sorceries, the Oracle Bubbles and the Great Oracle Bubbles. I then farmed up the Old Aristocrat Gown, which is the closest thing in this game to Aang's attire in the cartoon, purchased the Warrior Greaves and Gauntlets, cause these things just go well with everything. It doesn't look half bad if I do say so myself. After that, I farmed up a few runes to meet the Oracle Bubble's stat requirements, got myself both of the Smithing Stone Bell Bearings, and got the Magic Shrouding tier. Before starting this run, I was of the opinion that these claimant sorceries were subpar, but as soon as I got the hang of them, I really started to enjoy them. Especially the Great Oracle Bubble. You can basically send a bunch of them out towards most bosses at the start of a fight, and they'll both do great damage and do a lot of poise damage. These things are surprisingly great. With that done, I went in to fight Margit as my first opponent, and one thing that I noticed while editing is that whenever I cast the Stoneblade Ash of War, I do sometimes hit the boss with the dagger, which is kind of an unfortunate side effect to this skill, but I hope this isn't a big deal breaker. But anyway, Margit went down with ease, and I moved over to Godric, who didn't fare any better than Margit. With Godric out of the way, I decided to test myself against Radahn, and it went fairly well, and during his phase transition, I may or may not have done what is most likely the most epic thing that I have ever done in this game. Yeah, I broke his stance while he was descending down from the heavens. That was totally planned. Yeah, totally. With Verdun out of the picture, I then defeated Godfroy to get Godfrey's icon talisman. Made quick work of the Draconic Tree Sentinel utilizing the same strat that I did with the Tree Avatar. And then I defeated the Golden Godfrey, which I forgot to record, dreadful sorry about that, and moved over to Morgoth. And yeah, this didn't take long at all. Moving on to the next chapter, I now had to learn the ways of earthbending from Master Gurranq in the Bestial Sanctum, and for that I needed 6 deathroots to acquire the insight into one very specific earthbending technique, Stone of Gurranq. I then acquired the Golden Order Seal to utilize it, and defeated these 2 fellas to get the Lusat's Glintstone Staff. Moving on from that, I defeated Commander Noel to gain access to the Consecrated Snowfield, where I got the Graven Mask Talisman, reached the Mogun Palace farm, moved over to Mikula's Halo Tree to get the Pearl Drake Talisman, defeated Loretta, and finally, got the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. To further increase the damage of my incantations, I completed Millicent's quest line up until I could acquire the Phlox Canvas Talisman from Gowry, got these 2 specific physic tiers from these 3 avatars, and finally moved over to the Fire Giant. This was long, tedious, and excruciatingly boring. But having mastered waterbending and having the working proficiency in earthbending helped Aang defeat his opponent. Oh boy, another Godskin duo fight. So the strat this time around was to just kite the 2 spoiled brats around the pillars, casting Great Oracle Bubble towards the fat one, attempting to avoid any and all damage from them input reading me, which worked 60% of the time, all of the time, and eventually, I was able to beat them, even if it did cost me my sanity. Moving on to Malekith, his phase 1 went pretty smoothly, as it usually does. It's his phase 2 that gave me the most amount of trouble because of how slow some of my attacks were, so I had to be real careful about when I cast my spells. Is there a better way to start a new chapter than by absolutely annihilating Malenia? Eh? Gideon didn't seem to understand how Great Oracle Bubble worked, which he fell for multiple times without learning from his mistakes. Poor guy. I then tied up some loose ends of Renala and moved over to Godfrey. For this fight I did also add Rock Sling as my second earthbending technique cause it seemed to be quite fitting and would even out the number of sorceries and incantations that I have to 6, 3 sorceries and 3 incantations. Moog was so easy with this build it's not even funny. Before he gets to you, you are able to cast 4 charged Great Oracle Bubbles and pretty much any other spell of your choosing after that, which will break his stance. Oh, and if you manage to get a headshot with Stone of Grank, it will deal extra damage, which is really neat. I'ma be honest with you, I wasn't really planning on beating Rykard with this build, but I just had to see if it would work, and surprisingly, it did. The main damage source was both Rock Sling and Stone of Gorank, with an occasional Great Oracle Bubble, and all of these tools deal nice amounts of poise damage to the snake, which would save my ass and would allow me to come out on top. Now, the last thing standing between me and becoming the master of all 4 elements was Radagon and the Elden Beast. And realistically, neither of them stood a chance, especially Radagon. Poor guy would have to go to therapy to get over such an ass beating. Elden Beast was no different, even though I played it safe, making the fight last for 9 minutes, but that's besides the point. To finish the round with style, I wanted the last 4 hits on the Elden Beast to each be of different elements, which definitely wasn't difficult to pull off, and definitely didn't get me killed. And this is how Aang became the avatar of the lands between. As I've said at the start of the video, this build is kinda wonky, but in a good way. If you wanna try it out, and I would definitely suggest you to try out the Oracle Bubble sorceries, here are the stats with the talismans for PvE and for PvP. Thank you everybody for watching, have a good one, peace.